Welcome inside TCO Studios for another edition of Pick 6 presented by KFAN, and it's been a super busy free agency period for the Vikings. We figured you had a lot of questions for our experts, so we'll get to question number 1. It's for Voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen. Sawyer the Viking asks, should the Vikings trade up to get Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, or JJ McCarthy, or stick and pick? As we know, the Vikings now have the 11th and 23rd picks in the first round of this year's draft after a trade with the Texans. Here's PA with his take.
All righty, good question for the announcer who in no way is speaking for the team or the personnel people with the Minnesota Vikings who put in 100% more time into this draft than I do. But the question being, should the Minnesota Vikings take those 2 first-round picks now, thank you, Houston, for 23, and move up in the draft from 11? My answer is yes, but the premise involves finding a quarterback for the future on a rookie deal. Nobody's going to get Caleb Williams. He's going to go first. I like Drake Maye a lot, so yeah, I guess the answer would be yes. If you have an opportunity to move up to get Drake Maye from North Carolina, I'm in on it. Don't know if the team is. I don't speak for the team, but don't kill the messenger.
Thanks, PA. We do have to wait one more month to see what the Vikings will do in this year's draft. Until then, let's get to question number 2. And it was an online submission from Brian Sanchez in Pasadena, California. He wants to know, what is the toughest position to evaluate going into the draft? We thought we'd ask this to PFF's lead draft analyst, Trevor Sikkema. Here's his answer.
What's up, Ryan? So this is a great question. Okay, what's the toughest position? I hate to give the expected answer, but it is quarterback, just because you never know what exactly is being asked of them of a certain play. Maybe they're not supposed to look a certain direction. Maybe, a receiver, you might look at him and say, man, that guy was wide open, but the play never had in the progression to get to that type of player. There's just so many different asks of the quarterback position that's always kind of a tough one. And you try to watch as many games as you can to get a feel for the offense that they play in. That gives you a better look at, okay, they're orchestrating what I keep seeing week in and week out, what they really want this person to do. So quarterback, I hate to give the obvious answer, but it has to be quarterback because that's the one that NFL evaluators themselves lose sleep over every single year. It's such a big decision, but it has to be that position.
Thank you, Trevor. You can see my one-on-one with Trevor on Vikings.com right now. Well, let's switch to free agency for our next question. Marion Egan wants to know, how would you rate the free agency moves in year 3 with GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah? KFAN Power Trip's Paul Meatsauce Lambert weighs in on this.
Hey, Mary from Egan, I like your question. How would I rate Kwesi's free agency and moves so far in his 3rd year? I say they are very good. I like all the defensive moves that he's made. I think they've been very good. I also like that, they let the quarterback walk, but I think everything in free agency all hinges on what they do in the NFL draft in a month and change from right now. They got to hit on that quarterback, and if they hit on that quarterback, every move they made in the offseason is even better. Thank you.
Thanks, Meat Sauce. I have too been very interested in those 13 free agent signings so far on this day that we record, because obviously we know there could be more in our future. Until then, let's get to the next question. Robert in Inver Grove Heights wants to know, what's your favorite Vikings free agent signing? Let's go across the pond and ask Sky Sports' Neil Reynolds about his thoughts on this one.
So my favorite signing for the Vikings is Aaron Jones. Now, I think the 2 edge rushers are going to be really impactful, but what I like about Aaron Jones is he knows how to find the end zone. I think he's so explosive still as a running back. There will be a chip on his shoulder coming from the Green Bay Packers. That is a route that's been traveled every now and then, quite famously from Green Bay to Minnesota. So I think you add him to an offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson coming back. I'm fascinated to see what Kevin O'Connell does with all of those weapons. So if you talk about players being little chess pieces, then I think the Vikings added a really intriguing one in Aaron Jones.
Thank you, Neil. His one-on-one with Gabe Henderson is also located on Vikings.com or the Vikings app to hear more on his thoughts of this free agency. Moving on to the next question, it's Henry from Wabasha asking, after we signed Aaron Jones, how do you see him pairing with Ty Chandler? How do you see the run game evolving? Vikings analyst Pete Bursich dives into this one.
A great question. Now, I think that the signing of Aaron Jones is going to help Ty Chandler out in many ways. Number one, Aaron Jones is some of the best footwork that you're going to see out of a running back. And the second part is I think they both do the same things well. If you take a look at Ty Chandler back in college, it was a counter power type of a running game that they ran in North Carolina. And oh, by the way, Aaron Jones, very, very good at that. Now, Jones brings with that zone game, right? That long stretch cutback zone that Ty Chandler needs to learn from him. So the two of them together, I think could be a very dynamic duo.
Thank you, Pete. I am also really excited about Aaron Jones's pass catching ability added to that running back room and seeing the growth of Ty Chandler now in year 3. It's going to be a good one. Let's go to the final question of the show. This one is from Logan in Tampa. He asks, how are you looking to make Jordan Addison a better receiver that fits in the Vikings utility? Vikings Entertainment Network's Gabe Henderson takes this one to end the show.
Logan, appreciate the question. This is a great opportunity for Jordan Addison to build off of his rookie season. My opinion, I think he needs to hit the weight room just a little bit more. Don't get too bulky, but we know Kevin O'Connell likes to use his wide receiver twos in the blocking game. When the defense starts to come up and expecting Jordan to block, that's when the play action passing can work and him to get that big post over the top. I think it's going to be a great season for Jordan Addison. Him alongside JJ could be 2 1,000-yard receivers this year for both of those guys. So I'm excited to see what that looks like in Kevin O'Connell's offense.
Thank you, Gabe, and thank you to the fans who submitted their questions for this episode of Pick 6. You can do so on X if you follow me at Tatum Everett, or check out your Vikings emails. Down at the bottom, there'll be a call for Pick 6 questions, and maybe the next time yours will end up on the show.